once again comes to a close. And once again, we are bringing you NyanRacingCat spawning in the northwest, playing as the Mongols, now spawning in the southeast. Playing as the Delhi Sultanate, it is Avely once again. And now we see out here just some scouting action, but the very first pond that was seen by Avely is going to put a nice dock up there and is going for that usual Delhi water build, putting them all there on that straggler tree. And then we'll be getting that mill going just to get some wheelbarrow and some good technologies coming out in Dark Age. Khan by NyanRacingCat does spot this dock, so he will know where the plan of attack is to try to get rid of that Delhi dock. Only thing we have from NyanRacingCat outside of his Uvu right now is a Gur, and one of the things that I've noticed from Mongol players, especially on a map like Dry River, something like Ancient Spires is another form of this. I would say Dry River is a little bit more balanced than Ancient Spires, just because the spawns in the spires are rather ridiculous. But for the Mongols, they're more so worried about getting rid of the dock you're trying to build and then building their own. Not necessarily getting their own dock, because of how much resources it takes to actually make a dock, make your fishing boats and all that kind of stuff, because it takes, you know, that villager having that little bit of idle time, right, to go all the way out and build this dock, spending the 150 wood to do so. And then the extra, as we take a look, 75 wood a pop to get these fishing boats underway. And if you're able to take that dock out at a rather reasonable time, you're going to stop the Delhi player in their tracks. And of course, NyanRacingCat going for the 2x Spearmen. Two of them making the way, but again, like I alluded to during the observer delay, these fishing boats can fire a low damage arrow. You can see their attack, it's 7. Their health, a little bit higher than normal fishing boats. Also, the Spearmen, that's a villager, Spearmen, having no ranged armor, gonna make them a good target for some of them fishing boats. Now NyanRacingCat going for what looks like more of a tower rush tactic. We can see the waypoint coming all the way out here to this gold mine initially, so I think he's looking to tower that gold. Now, because Avely is going for more of a dock strategy in the Dark Age, NyanRacingCat knows he can't combat a Delhi dock, Delhi specifically because of the fishing boats. He's going to bypass it entirely, going to go for a tower rush instead. 5 gold villagers for Avely, and actually a 6th to try to get that 200 gold, trying to get up to Castle Age as fast as possible, and does the incredibly smart thing. Avely has been tower rushed probably many times in his AoE4 career, but does the very intelligent thing of taking down that mining camp, or not building it in the first place, just so the Mongols don't get that raid bounty. Does create a little bit more idle time for Avely to go to that town center and actually drop off that gold. As they start getting angry, these Delhi peasants trying to take it to the Spearmen of the Mongolian player. That outpost is actually going to get denied. NyanRacingCat having good presence of mind of canceling it. Avely's serfs again getting rather frustrated, trying to take shots at some of those spearmen. A lot of them at about half damage, but does have reinforcements. Another 2x spearmen on the way, and I think this outpost for NyanRacingCat will be pretty good. Now, Avely, something that's very frustrating for Avely and the Delhi Sultanate is at 196 gold, he needs 200. So we're going to watch this villager. We're going to keep her menu up on the screen to see if she gets the 4. She only gets 3. Avely gets the 1 with the second villager. A little bit of good micro in that regard. Now, Avely also having these Delhi fishing boats, making sure that villager can get hit a couple times. No outpost around that dock for Avely. So a little bit of a to and fro for either player. You know, the Mongolian tower rush didn't go off exactly perfectly without a hitch, but it definitely delayed some feudal age time for him. Definitely created a little bit of idle time as you see this villager running all over the damn place, trying to get that villager but ends up becoming unsuccessful. At the same time, though, Avely wasn't allowing this outpost to actually happen. And it could be that Avely extends out to a second dock if he has the wood income for it. For the Delhi Sultanate, though, wood is a little hard to come by. He's got 11 villagers on it right now because he's trying to make sure he's got enough boats here. He's got his 4 boats, which is good. But on the flip side, with Avely going up with the Tower of Victory, he's going to need some military production buildings. And might not have the extra for something like an extra dock, extra fishing ships, or anything like that. So right now, stockpiled about 300. Wheelbarrow did come in for him. NyanRacingCat had the presence of mind to move that outpost again a little bit more to the western side. Hopefully we'll have range, if it has arrows, if it gets arrow slits, might have range to take out some of these fishing boats. But once it gets to the long area, maybe something that NyanRacingCat can think about going forward, maybe changing that outpost somewhere around here, because you more so want to target where the fish are as opposed to the dock. But Avely gonna be completing the Tower of Victory here. First production buildings come down, and a blacksmith as well goes for an archery range. Has to change his wood line completely because this tower 100% completed, and I don't think that Avely saw it in time, so wasn't able to burn it down. Has a scholar is going to be able to heal some of those villagers up to full health like it didn't happen. But again, a lot of the reason why this is tough for the Mongol player, or the Delhi player, excuse me, is because he's got to move around a lot. This outpost does have range on this fishing boat. Now the dock's going to help it a little bit in terms of some healing, but it's more so going to be frustrating for him. Again, going to move to those outside fishing piles and just to tax the APM of Avely that little bit more. NyanRacingCat also going into Feudal Age, making the Deer Stones not a landmark that we see too much, but because obviously Dry River, it looks like based on this map, doesn't have any trading posts, any neutral trading posts. Obviously Silver Tree doesn't make any sense. Gonna go with the Deer Stones, and for everybody who might forget the Deer Stones because you never use it anymore, researches YAM network technology, increases movement speed by 15% to all units within range of the outpost and landmark. This landmark obviously having a very good range, and it makes these villagers, because they have wheelbarrow, as you can see them dropping off 15 wood, rather speedy, and it makes them a little bit more efficient than the average villager, or say the Delhi villager. Avely changing his composition, or at least finalizing his composition just a little bit more, adding a stable with a scholar in it to efficiently produce some of these horsemen. These horsemen coming out at 11 seconds a pop. And doing a good job making sure this dock is staying alive, adding a second dock of his own all the way on this eastern side. So good food economy for Avely going forward. Is starting to harvest these berries just a little bit. But it goes to show the difference between somebody with a water economy and somebody without one. Back here we have how many villagers on sheep right now? 14. NyanRacingCat just starting to get his naval economy underway, making his own dock over here on the west side. And will be producing his fishing ships from there, and can probably extend to this northeastern pond if he gets the ability. Now NyanRacingCat adding a couple horsemen of his own, trying to get some raid going on. What's really nice with these outposts, synergize well with Deer Stones, is everything around the range of this outpost. As you can see, YAM network, those horsemen, pretty speedy compared to the horsemen of 1.88 tiles for the Delhi, 2.16 for the horsemen. So never going to be able to catch them, and very difficult for Avely. If he had a barracks and chose to make spearmen, it would have been rather difficult for the spearmen to catch up to those horsemen. And maybe Avely, with this northern vanguard force of about 6 horsemen, maybe trying to find a raid somewhere, but not being able to find it. Dock over here by the Mongols on the west side, going to be able to spawn its very first fishing boat. So now, NyanRacingCat's villagers, peasants, soldiers alike will get their first taste of a little bit of seafood. Avely doing a good job with the horsemen that he has about 7 here, I believe. Nope, 6 and a scout now. going to be able to take down some of those outposts. One of them ends up getting burned. Horseman raid trying to happen by NyanRacingCat over on the A side. Ends up getting shut down by these archers, about 10 archers here. And he's made enough horsemen to be able to take down that tower that was mostly plaguing him for the gold mine considerations. Another gold mine for Avely over here on the south side, which could be used if he wanted to build a mining camp over there, but it's a very raidable area, so it would be rather difficult. Avely continuing to be without any gold production. Now does have Tower of Victory, so not doing anything in way of Scholar. The only Scholar he does have right now is matriculating his way up north, trying to get this first sacred site. And we hear the bum heard around the world for all of these Delhi players going to try to get that sacred site in his direction. Now military count vastly higher for Avely at 37 to 8, and there's a reason why. NyanRacingCat completing the step readout and going for a rather old school Mongolian build. We're used to, you know, when towers were unbelievably popular, and for how broken they were, you used to see a tower into Deerstones into step readout. Now with how good trade is, begrudgingly I have to say, the Silver Tree always gets placed in Feudal Age, but now, because there's no trading post, we're going back to the ways of old, and we're going to see for NyanRacingCat, he has a couple stables up here, has one Lancer, has a 2x Lancer. One of the things that the Mongols are so good at, making sure they're getting their Castle Age units rather quickly, and against the army that Avely has, there's no spearmen here, there's no barracks for Avely. Now, if NyanRacingCat did take this fight with 2 Lancers, that would spell doom for him. But right now, in terms of army composition, 14 archers, 7 horsemen. And as you see, Avely not producing, trying to stockpile resources as best as he can. And does have the food economy, especially because of his navy, to do so. He'll be able to get up to castle. NyanRacingCat trying to take a look with these Lancers, trying to see if there's anywhere that he could snipe any kind of villagers while continuing to improve his army composition. He's vastly outnumbered, 41 to 10, but if he continues to keep producing Castle Age units, it's more of a quality over quantity kind of aspect for him. The Mongols do have this, for their early Castle Age, they do have that little bit of window to be able to maybe snipe out some Delhi villagers if he's able to. And we'll get one raid going. Now again, we just have archers here. He just added 3 different barracks, added some Dark Age spearmen. Not going to be doing too well against those Lancers. You can see a Dark Age spearman not doing much for him. A lot of idle time over here. We do have 2 or 3 knights that got stuck around these encirclement of horsemen, where these other horsemen can't even do anything about it. So Avely's trying to hold on, trying to make sure he doesn't get a lot of his workers killed, as a worker kill count is only 4 to 0, while at the same time spending half of his economic units, 22 of that 41 going into Compound of Defender and getting that successfully. And this is where the paradigm kind of shifts in this matchup because of the difference of Compound of the Defender. Avely's okay with taking some of these villager hits and actually gets one of his own killed by Gold Raid over here by the south with an outpost that only has arrow slits right now, no spring gold upgrade out of them. NyanRacingCat having good presence of mind, getting Shaman, making sure he's getting some relics, and the Delhi are not able to do so. But Avely, now that he's Castle Age, as you can see, that one of these things are not like the others. And we have a lot of these archers and only 1 crossbowman, but we'll add a little bit of firepower to stop some of these Lancer raids. Now, not sure how effective this was for NyanRacingCat in terms of going that early castle, establishing map control and the like, because we still have a sacred site captured by Avely. And these 2 that are on the south side by Avely, I would say they favor his position more so than NyanRacingCat's. Just because they're on his side of the river, of course. I'm coming in on the other side. Avely obviously making changes to his army composition. Not going so much in the way of cavalry, maybe trying to benefit from the Tower of Victory. And also Compound of the Defender getting the ever-popular technology that we see now running rampant over the rank ladder for Season 4, and especially for Delhi players, and that is Village Fortresses. As Lancer's trying to get another raid going, not going to be as effective. Just having those 2 or 3 crossbowmen there, just having a couple spearmen there is going to eliminate these raids from really happening. Avely trying to get a relic over here on the north side, going to be unsuccessful. NyanRacingCat actually backs up without a Lancer going down. There's one at 1 health that the Horseman might end up picking up. And I do see it in the queue. If you guys are watching very closely in the queue, ladies and gentlemen, we might have our first Dumbo sighting. Maybe. In about 48 seconds, assuming Avely doesn't change his mind. We might just see an elephant come our way. Now, military count starting to even out just a little bit. Avely trying to get this south sacred site. Got a veteran Khan over here trying to think otherwise. And we'll end up taking that scholar down unless there's no reinforcements. These towers that were built at about minute 3 or 4 end up finally get taken down. And a Lancer raid coming in here on the north side on that gold mine. Man, that is a rather frustrating gold spawn for Avely out front. He was never able to successfully do that. There's been a raid on the wood line all the way on the east side. Look at all of these villagers, that little bit of idle time, magnified by a multiplier of 18 because of how many villagers they are. Worker kills added 3 for NyanRacingCat. Worker kill count 7 to 1. Still having a little bit of economic lead. And what I think is a little bit of that, not so, you know, the kills obviously, but now that he's extending on water just a little bit, adding 3 or 4 fishing boats. Avely's food economy, however, fantastic. We've got 3 different docks pumping out some shorefish. This one going to be gone rather soon, but I think the problem for Avely, as an archer just gets massacred by the gold vein, I think the problem for Avely is just where he's going to get that gold. He's got to figure it out. I mean, he has 1 sacred site. The Mongols have gotten this southern sacred site. I don't know if NyanRacingCat knows that these exist. It'd be very helpful in a battle, though, let me tell you. And now with a group of crossbowmen for Avely. Ah, there it is. Dumbo. Look at this thing. You can even hear it trampling across the plains. You take a look at its health. Obviously, it's a little bit improved to 850 health. Against any kind of cavalry units, this thing is a truck and will take out just about any cavalry unit you see, which is going to make NyanRacingCat want to change up his composition a little bit. Couple men-at-arms by the Delhi player end up going down. That's a rather theatric death, as we saw over the south. I don't think I ever saw that death animation before, but dock for Avely on the north side going to be able to go down. And as much as I love a good Dumbo, one of the things that's a big issue is just the mobility. We have a lot of these raids going in opposite directions, but one of the things that Avely can really do to improve that is what he just did, adding keeps, adding some static defense, and making sure that not only is he going to be able to kill some of these Lancers down here for a very good raiding opportunity. There's a lot of stone, there's a lot of gold over here, but he's going to be able to produce villagers out of them. We have economic count 63 to 53 in favor of Avely, and yes, a lot of that ended up being because of some worker kills and some raids, NyanRacingCat getting that higher advantage. But this village fortress is about 20 seconds from being completed, and he will continue to pack on that stone and just continue to pack on the keeps. More keeps, the better for him. We've got another one, and as you can see here, we can see a pattern to how Avely's building those keeps. As we see a night raid down north, or up north, excuse me, didn't end up getting anything. We see a pattern to Avely's keeps. Look at where this keep was. It was right next to stone. Look at where this keep is going to be, right next to stone. He's making sure that his gold, or his stone, excuse me, is stable, so he can continue to make keeps and continue to pump out villagers. And remember that as we hit the 19.5-minute mark, because at about 25 minutes, we're going to see Avely with 120 villagers, and you're going to be like, how the hell did that happen? Now these Dumbos going to be able to, boom, take a hit at those Lancers. And that's a Dumbo-Wombo combo, ladies and gentlemen, taking down a couple of those Lancers. For NyanRacingCat, he does have some Lancers to the north trying to find a way to raid. But now his gold Avely, something he's been struggling with since minute 2. Avely's gold finally stable. Gonna be able to produce a lot of gold heavy units, and some of them, as I'm looking for on my screen, is a siege workshop gonna be able to make and have siege superiority. Adding springolds of his own out of the first siege workshop, second siege workshop might end up doing the same, because we all know for the Mongols, having that improved siege engineering, meaning you can build these things. You can build trebuchets. Now, these are of the traction variety, remember. But you can build these trebuchets. And you can build mangonels like this on the battlefield. And usually, for the Mongolians, that means siege superiority anywhere you fight. Avely had good presence of mind of making sure that he knew the siege was going to be there, making sure he had the ability to take it down. Springold trying to snipe that mango, not getting there in our first major battle of the day. I'm looking at NyanRacingCat's army composition, and I am not seeing any kind of really good strategy to try to take out these Dumbos. Trying to get an encirclement. Is that elephant going to get caught in it? It does not. That will stay green. That will stay a Delhi elephant. Now look at the amount of ranged armor it actually has. This has 7 ranged armor, and veteran archers are only hitting them for 8. So it's very difficult for them to take out that war elephant. Being behind that town center, having the siege superiority, being behind those springolds, that's an easy Delhi win for Avely. And look at this. This war elephant not taking anything. And honestly, I'm not seeing many scholars here for Avely. He didn't really have the capacity because his gold was always at a stranglehold. Didn't really have the opportunity to do things like get scholar production, but now he's going to have the ability to. And I also see out of these archery ranges getting tower elephants, which are even higher in the gold production. And because he's able to get this, because he's able to have his sacred site, does have a relic also that's going to help him out in the gold production. Now these keeps continuing to produce those villagers, and now we have technically 3 town centers for Avely in the form of keeps. And I think NyanRacingCat noticed that, realized that he would be at a very extreme villager deficit if he decided to just let that happen. So he added a second town center of his own. Try to counteract that. A little bit easier for the Mongolians to do compared to others, just because of the fact it's 900 wood. Doing the right Mongolian move, especially in castle, adding outposts and continuing to creep up. Most likely with all of these outposts, and I'm looking at them, they all need some emplacements to them. Looks like this one does have a springold emplacement, as you can see here. Avely counteracting that with his own counter. In terms of the counterweight trebuchet, who needs to check its geometry, because that wasn't great. They're off by about 6 inches, but a Delhi keep over here on the south side. This was a perfect keep by Avely, because not only does it protect the sacred site, able to neutralize it, but also more stone to make more keeps. Look at all of these springolds for NyanRacingCat. I'm going to double click on them all. 5 springolds for him. Avely no slouch in the springold department as well, adding his 6th. And will continue to do so. NyanRacingCat adding a decent amount of crossbowmen, a pretty good ranged mass for him, which is really going to help him out against some of these elephants. But now that there's war elephants, now that there's tower elephants, as you can see here, with 9 ranged armor, with only 14, it's only 5 damage. Those things will glance off of them. NyanRacingCat, good presence of mind to try to repair some of these springolds to the best of their ability, but a lot of the siege superiority for NyanRacingCat ends up going down, as only having anti-siege doesn't really help you in a lot of battles. Anti-siege can't do much against the units, it can only do much against the siege. It looks like the first springold was cast, and here we have a second big battle outside Avely's base. Tower elephant tried to get into it. Look at this villager getting at it. Losing its life, trying to get some mangonel shots. Springolds are trying to smooch each other, but look at this ranged mass from NyanRacingCat. We're seeing both archers and both springolds, so whatever they choose to target, it's going to be difficult for them The Springald War was won by Avely, which could ultimately mean the battle is essentially won by Avely, because look at these elephants, they are not going down. This elephant now just at half health. A little bit of defender's advantage from Avely. Might be able to produce some units. But for NyanRacingCat, not only were there too many units in order for him to really defeat, it was a little bit of the background, a little bit of this tower is going to help him be able to take fights that he knew that he could win. Military count now 44 to 16 in favor of NyanRacingCat. Most of them range, so won't be able to take down a lot of the siege, but the question is, does he really need to? He did win the Springald War, but the issue is, for Avely didn't have any of those mangonels to really deal damage to the backline of NyanRacingCat, so that's the only thing that's really still standing. Avely's got to replace his siege workshops. 300 wood a pop. Those are not cheap. NyanRacingCat adding a siege workshop of his own, and I think he smells blood in the water, ladies and gentlemen. Instead of doing these traction trebuchets, doing only 300 damage, what a waste of time. Look at how long that thing actively takes to set up. These battering rams going to do just as well if they get up. But NyanRacingCat get it back up just a little bit. Does have some Springles. Doesn't really have any kind of units that'll be able to take him out, except a couple horsemen. And one Springle will be going down, just because on the east side, this crossbowman mass that continued to be a thorn in the side for Avely is still continuing to be that thorn, getting on the military production. Another Springald ends up going down. Now this tower elephant continuing to take pot shots at everything below it. And now Avely finally getting a couple mangonels that are going to help him out in that range department. Look at these tower elephants and how well they're able to take down units and being able to kite all of them. Now NyanRacingCat kind of going for the throat here with these traction trebuchets, going for the main town center, the landmark. For Avely, he's going to pull some villagers to be able to repair it. Going to add some forward production, which is really going to help him out here, making sure that defender's advantage isn't that advantageous for him. And Avely's pretty much spread out all the way to the south. I want to take a quick look down here. We have keeps in all over all these places. Economic count 108 to 98 in favor of Avely, and that's just because of those keeps. The problem is those keeps aren't in very good defensive positions. As you see, the closest keep is all the way down here to the south, to which NyanRacingCat isn't really attacking. NyanRacingCat's thinking the way to win this game is because of the starting town center, because of the Tower of Victory that's right next to it, and hopefully the compounded defender, which he had scouted in previous raids. So maybe he's thinking about ending the game as soon as possible. Have a southern keep by Avely that can continue to make villagers if it wanted to, but has 116 villagers total, so might end up capping it, but is free to take that gold mine, which is really going to help him out. NyanRacingCat using horsemen, trying to get around to the south side. Maybe he could pick off a villager or two, but that's the issue with the Delhi Sultanate and what's making them as powerful as they are right now. Having those keeps around making villagers, it's not like a town center. You could run under a town center, maybe snipe a villager, keep moving. The keep just has so much more damage. It having 14 damage to a town center's normal 8. It's a big difference. Now we have a good siege battle. Some mangonels going down for Avely. Only 4 Springles remaining. Lots of tower elephants for Avely as these guys start to attack each other. Horsemen trying to get in, take out some of the siege. Not enough horsemen and able to do that. Good mangonel shots on some of those men-at-arms. NyanRacingCat trying to take down some production with some rams, but will end up getting snuffed out. NyanRacingCat's army is starting to fall apart just a little bit. Does have a lot in the way of Springles, but doesn't have a lot in the way of anything else. 1 Springle down, 2 Springle down. The elephant's going to be able to catch up to it and also slap some of those outposts with the tusks they have. NyanRacingCat did not get Springle upgrades on these outposts, and we could see that. It shows. These tower elephants being super tanky to all of this range. mass. Just being that part of that range back end where some of those crossbowmen are, and no front man-at-arms, lancer alike for NyanRacingCat was able to touch these things. So they're still staying alive, and they're more than happy to be so. Mongols trying to make an army composition switch, adding some men-at-arms, which could help him out if there's a decent amount of spearmen, but, you know, this crossbow mass, these tower elephants still do a decent amount to those men-at-arms. As you can see, the crossbowmen just kind of eating them alive. And Avely continuing to steamroll ahead. Military count 56 to 17. What's so nice is these tower elephants, they don't even need to be microed. You could just, while they're moving, be able to take down some of these units. That men-at-arms going down, spearmen going down. Well, he microed that one, but you know what I mean. And Avely going for one of my favorite things in Age of Empires, a good old face keep for game one, trying to establish the tone, try to make this into a 2-game series. Lots of spearmen. These tower elephants are still going to help against this range mass. He has nothing for this. He has nothing for these tower elephants. He's continuing to just make those crossbowmen. And the spears are actually holding their own as well. As long as they're creating that front fodder and making sure that range mass and these tower elephants can continue to move, they're just going to continue to pick off villagers. That phase keep not able to get completed, and the only reason why is because Nyan decides to tap out. And that is game one of this semifinals, going over to Avely. Now let's see the impact of what Village Fortresses does now. NyanRacingCat just having that little bit of economic lead. Just a little bit, but that's pretty much it. You could see when Village Fortresses kind of starts, well, it's probably somewhere around here in that 17-minute mark. The second keep went up, and then the technology got completed. More keeps started to develop. All of a sudden, Avely's at about 140 villagers, where NyanRacingCat tried to keep up. And I think this early castle to mid-castle area is the time where you really got to strike on Delhi once they hit castle. Just because you know compound is coming. You know a lot of keeps are coming. So you want to try to attack their stone as best as possible. You want to try to make sure you're on their production so they can't make much in terms of units. NyanRacingCat did the best he could in terms of that double lancer production, but not quite enough. And Avely was able to take that game one. Spawning in the west for game two of our best of 3 semifinals, Genghis Khan's Legacy. It is Avely playing as the Rus and spawning in the east, playing as the Mongols for the second time this series. It is NyanRacingCat. So we've watched a decent amount of Rus actually in the games that we've seen so far. As far as builds go for Avely for Rus, and I'm just kind of in my head kind of theory crafting against the Mongols who decide to go Silver Tree. It needs to be stopped in early feudal age, or, you know, making sure that those traders do not get any deposits. Because if they do and they're able to go to Castle Age, you just spent all your resources trying to stop it. You let one or two go, and then all of a sudden you're outclassed. So I'm curious to see what kind of army composition Avely goes for, and if he decides to go for second town center. It's very interesting and going to be a learning experience for me as well. Now, NyanRacingCat, the Mongols, pulls a villager out here, and he's going to go with a stable, a Dark Age stable coming out for him now. I'm not sure if he's necessarily going to try to do some kind of rushing with this stable. I do know on the other side, NyanRacingCat did not go for another scout, continuing to only go for villagers. We have, I think this one NyanRacingCat might have gotten, but Avely getting this south one. This one on the south of his own base is yet to be completed. And once both players hit their feudal age landmarks and will go up, we'll take a look at Avely's bounty going forward. But NyanRacingCat also taking down Wolf, something that some Rus opponents do not do, which I would strongly recommend, because getting 2 of those is almost the same as getting a deer patch. And we're going to do it again. God. At 2.5 minutes. I'm going to take a guess and say that was a restart. Yep, and they even changed colors and everything. Fantastic. So let's take a look at this game 2 now. Okay. Now, spawning in the east, playing as the Mongols yet again, is NyanRacingCat. Spawning in the west, playing as the Rus, is Avely. Now, as much as I'm enjoying the pump fakes, let's try to not do those anymore, you know? Yeah, so for this one, Avely obviously going for the same kind of thing. NyanRacingCat continuing to only go 1 con, which is quite interesting. Okay. Another deer patch coming in for Avely. Going to take that one. South did not see, however, this eastern one he will be able to see. NyanRacingCat's con in a rather unfortunate position because he decided to explore north. And just for Avely having that 3rd scout, being able to not only take down all of the deer patches that he's able to, but be able to scout what is going on from NyanRacingCat. And he's still continuing to go with that early stable. Now, I'm not sure if it was scouted before the restart. I'm curious to see what he actually does out of it, if he's going to go for the 2x horseman when he's able to, because it takes 120 stone to do so, and still needs that little bit of food. So let's see if he actually hits the button, because I'm curious to where he's going to go. This stable is queued out in this area and does go with the 2x horseman, so I'm interested to see how he actually plays this. But Avely doing a good job of getting, I'm pretty sure, yeah, he got all 4. Got all 4 of the deer patches. Fantastic. NyanRacingCat just putting his con out here on the south side, and he must not be pleased. And because of that town center movement from NyanRacingCat, a lot of these villagers going to have to spend a little bit of time migrating all the way over to this gold vein. Maybe this is a raidable target in the future. We'll have to see. But early horsemen coming out for NyanRacingCat, spending some time taking down a wolf. It's a good denial of 25. And we're going to see Avely being able to hit the feudal age button and goes with a Kremlin almost immediately, which is quite the choice. I'm seeing people just stray away from Golden Gate all the time now, which is interesting to me because I figured Golden Gate was one of the best landmarks. I'd probably put it either 2nd or 3rd best landmark in the game, but a lot of people going for Kremlin instead. And this Kremlin with its militia, maybe that'll help him in terms of protecting himself against some trade. NyanRacingCat does have a decent spawn with this trade post coming all the way out here, so he can choose one of 2 options, going for this south market, going for this north market if he decides to Silver Tree. So we'll see what he actually attempts to do. But now with the Kremlin going up, I'm going to switch to regular UI for just a second to see Avely's bounty, and we're at 330. for him. So very good showing in the bounty department. Now with the Kremlin just barely going up with about 80%, we have some early horsemen over here trying to get a raid. Looks like Avely trying to get some stone, maybe go for a second town center because of how much stone he has. But that Kremlin will go up. Can't get the spring on emplacement up, of course, yet. But it looks like based on his economy right now, having the 5 on the stone, adding that much to the wood and still having some on food, I don't know. This seems like a little iffy. Not sure what he's actually going to decide to do now. On the south end, Silver Tree coming up for the cat. And will obviously be producing traders at 2 a pop. And everybody who plays against Mongols is rather frustrated seeing them able to produce traders at 2 a pop. And knowing that one time you send them back and forth, those traders end up paying for themselves. Avely doing a good job in the sheep department. Obviously, having 3 scouts is really going to help you out. And now I'm not really sure about the use of these horsemen. These 2 early horsemen, I saw them kill 2 wolves. I guess against Russo is pretty good. But other than that, not too much. Couple tickets in Avely's Kremlin, so he's going to be able to pop them little gremlins out whenever he wants. But now at the 5-minute 35 mark, we have our Silver Tree. We got our trader started. It's very interesting that they come out in about 15 seconds too. Doesn't give you much in the way of time. Obviously this trading post pretty far away. Let's see, based on these traders, obviously it being on the same screen, not going to be that far, but it will be far away compared to its site when it might end up going on the south end. And then we're going to see it really start to develop. Rus on the other side going for a second town center, using its militia to make sure it safely is able to do that, which I could appreciate. And is going to be going on this deer patch behind his base, which is going to be nice for him. I'm not seeing... Oh, first production building. There we go. At about a 6.5-minute mark. Avely going for a stable. Might end up going knights. Might end up going horsemen based on what NyanRacingCat is coming out with in his archery range, going for Mangadai. That was not useful. That gold only getting, how much is this? 12 pop and 1 each. He wanted to migrate all the way down south, but is not going to be able to do that just because there's a scout here already, which is really good for Avely in terms of his scout placement. He had 1 to the south, 1 to the north, so if a villager was going to build a market, they knew where it was going to be. So now this market with the lovely hood on it being a market, you will know that that trading post is going all the way down to the south. And these traders are already starting to migrate down there. Looks like they went to the initial market at first, but now we'll have to go to the actual market when it gets placed down. So military count 6 to 5. And Avely does make the choice of going horseman. Obviously, Rus horseman, something few and far between, but in this particular game and in this particular matchup, I can obviously see that it's a fantastic idea because that's the only thing that's really going to chase down these Mangadai. Now, these Mangadai don't have any bonus damage towards any particular unit, but that 5 damage and being able to kite around gets rather annoying, especially for the militia that are a little bit slower. Now for the early knight having 1.62 movement tiles, and these Mangadai actually cut down a little bit less at 1.56. Now with the Khan having that maneuver arrow, being able to get out of those sticky situations is really going to help him out. And we'll see if those traders can actually get a good deposit. Let's see if we have any of them moving south, and it looks like not yet. So as we're hitting about the 9-minute mark, NyanRacingCat still hasn't had that ultimate gold deposit that he needs. Now these traders are really carrying some steam at 112 gold. So we'll see if he's actually going to be able to get some drop-offs here. Has 2 horsemen and a knight essentially patrolling this area, as you can see the waypoints. And if anything happens, just like that market moving, it's going to be able to patrol and make sure that it knows. It does see the Mangudai and the horsemen, so they're going to do the best they can to try to track them down. And it looks like NyanRacingCat will get his Mangudai essentially caught in the crossfire. Now these units, because of the movement that they have and the damage that they're able to put out, not as scary as they used to be in earlier Silver Tree builds, and we're kind of noticing that. Mangudai haven't been able to kill a single unit. And although they're expensive, against those early knights, they really only do 2 damage, or 3 damage to them. No, 2 damage, sorry. To the early knights just because of the ranged armor. Now, Avely did a good job of just kind of delaying the trade, because NyanRacingCat now, some of these traders are going all the way into Narnia. The market not as efficient as it was, and hasn't let any trade go through just because of those couple horsemen and knights, so it was rather effective for him. And because of that, he's able to go up to Castle and is going up for the Abbey of the Trinity because he knows he's going Castle Age first. He knows he didn't get any of that trade. First Mangudai going down for NyanRacingCat, as well as some of these, I want to say battles, but it's more like a fleeing kind of thing. And the horsemen having that bonus damage against the Mangudai will be able to take some of them out, and it looks like 2 Mangudai went down in the making of that battle. NyanRacingCat adding spears into his battle as well. But Avely is going to be up with the Abbey of the Trinity pretty soon. I'm going to be adding a lot of archery ranges with it. So if Avely does what I think he's going to do, he's going to be very near and dear to my heart. Because if he starts making horse archers, I'm going to lose my mind. And that's exactly what he's doing. He is queuing horse archers. Gremlins with a little bit of a raid going on. Now, because they hit castle, the militia get upgraded essentially for free. They have the 12 attack, obviously with the bonus towards cavalry. So if NyanRacingCat is actually able to get his trade up and going, which he kind of isn't. I mean, he's not getting much in trade going on. This market, not as far as he would like it to be, only getting about 50 gold apiece. So he is delayed in the castle department, trying not to make as many units. And Avely now has free reign, able to make some horse archers. What's nice about these horse archers, having 3.5 tile range for Mangudai, horse archers have that a little bit more. They do pretty well against spearmen also, so maybe he might be able to take this battle. However, a lot of villagers are going to go down. It looks like 3. So it will put Avely at an economic disadvantage, a little bit more than he had been, just because of the amount of traders that are there. But horse archers doing a good job picking off those spearmen. And the one thing I absolutely love about horse archers is not only how quickly they're made in 22 seconds, but their cost. They're only 80 food, 40 wood, and those are both things that Roos get improvements on. They get improvements in the food department because of the bounty. They get improvements in wood because of their wooden fortresses, and Avely's being the Kremlin. So it really synergizes well with the Roos, as these spearmen just end up going down. Not even taking a hit on some of those horse archers. So Avely doing a good job trying to establish a little bit of map control. NyanRacingCat finally being able to go up with the Kurultai, as you can see right here. Now again, remember those Kurultai changes don't need the Khan to be around to get any of that healing or any of that damage, so it will be helpful to him. These horse archers, though, just because of the mobility and for how high their base damage is, they're going to do a really good job taking down traders. All of these outposts, because Mongolians are in feudal age, the arrow slits would be good, but not having the ability to get spring golden placements is huge. Just starting to get arrow slits on one of them now. Look how quickly these traders go down. See ya. Another one? Boom. Oh, there you go. Get that one down. So all of these traders are going to end up getting popped continuously. NyanRacingCat does not have the ability to fight these horse archers right now. As long as these horse archers can essentially, I mean, they do a good job of staying on the production, making sure that NyanRacingCat can't mass. In the few short minutes that Avely has been Castle Age, I want to say maybe it's about 3 or 4 minutes. Look at the military count. It's 34 to 10, and Avely has 29 horse archers. One thing about horse archers that a lot of people complain about is the flimsiness of them, as that town center being able to take out a decent amount of them. All of those donkeys just pop out of the town center like it's a clown car, and we'll be able to retrade once again. But now that NyanRacingCat is Castle Age, what is he going to do to change his army composition? And decides to go for Lancers at 2x production. Now, while Avely did a good job trying to restrict that trade, did a good job making sure he wasn't able to get the curl tie up with enough time, while all of this is happening, we're watching horse archers, we're raving over them. Avely is all 5 relics. And he's also going to get the Sacred Site in the south, also going to capture this one in the north, and already has the middle. His gold per minute, without barely, I mean, he's got how many villagers on gold right now? 8? He's getting an extra 400 once he drops off those. 500, 600, 700 gold per minute without even touching anything. And this is where we might be able to see the Rus really take over in this matchup, because I don't know what NyanRacingCat can do in terms of changing his army composition. I mean, he's still queuing, as we can see on the top part of the screen, he's still queuing Mangudai. And he's starting to queue Lancers. Now, this is a point for most Rus players when you get into Castle Age. Now that you have that gold production and you have a horse archer mass, what do? You start changing to knights because you need that front line. That's exactly what Avely is doing. And now I want to double click on a blacksmith, because we can see that Avely has picked up Boyar's Fortitude, giving it that extra plus 30 health, which is really going to help against a lot of those Mangudai where their base damage is not that high. As you can see, it's at 5. They are going to get the veteran upgrade. But honestly, for Avely, if he took the fight under the curl tie, he'd still win. You know, all he needs is a couple knights to really mass up. Also has warrior monks next to him. And let's take a look at the Abbey, because I want to see if he's gotten any upgrades. And he has, making the Saint's Blessing just that much better. And if we actually see some Saint's Blessing happen, oh my god, I'm going to lose my mind. This outpost not getting upgraded by anything, going to be able to be taken down rather quickly. Avely continuing the knight production. And now with an outpost down, NyanRacingCat might smell like he has to try to take this fight. It's just so difficult when you have a military count so underwhelming. And Avely's military count essentially doubled, 49 to 23 in favor of him. Now this trade at only 41 gold, again, continues to not be as effective. And I think for Avely, it's not necessarily about getting the trade, it's just making sure the Mongols are contained, and they can continue to be. Avely's going for rather a Delhi Sultanate style build in some of these walls over on the Palisade wall, but I want to bring you guys back. Khan with the defense arrow, trying to increase their armor by just a little bit. Decent amount of horse archers here in the back. I'm not really sure why Avely is not trying to take this fight. The Mangudai are going to be able to chase them, and the Kurotai is going to end up healing them in the process. A forward Avely keep. Forward Avely Rus keep. He's literally a man after my own heart. And these knights are going to start going down. There's a warrior monk, Saint Blessing. Let's take a look at them. 16 damage by these horse archers, and a lot of extra armor in the range department. This Mangudai just not being able to break through the knight's armor. There is so much in there, and even though they're going to be able to retreat, this is a huge victory for Avely. Military count continuing to just fall apart. NyanRacingCat now at 6 total military. That face keep, why don't you let the face keep go up? Give me some keep action. But Rus being able to take this one rather convincingly and beating the Mongols. Now, this was very textbook on how you're going to take down Mongol trade as the Rus. You add some of those horsemen, and it's such a better matchup nowadays because the Mangudai aren't as good as they used to be. So it's such a good matchup. Now, this was a victory for Avely, meaning it's a 2-0 win. Avely is now in the finals for Genghis Khan Legacy Meta Plays Finals, so we'll be catching him at that point so he can take a break for a little bit. I see Quick in chat. What's up, brother?
We want to thank our MetaPlays website subscribers. Your contribution helps us keep the project sustainable. As we reach higher subscription goals, you are helping us cover more and more behind-the-scenes costs, such as video editing. Check out our subscription page using the link in the description, and remember to collect your perks. We will see you the next time.